Shivananda Lahiri, Shloka number 6. घटो वा मृत्पिण्डोऽप्यणुरपि च धूमोऽग्निरचलः पटो वा तन्तुर्वा परिहरति किं घोरशमनं वृथा कण्ठक्षोभं वहसि तरसा तर्कवचसा पदाम्भोजं शम्भोः भज परमसौख्यं व्रजसुधीः। अन्वया हे सुधीहि घटो वा मृत्पिण्डः अपि अणुः अपि च धूमः अग्निः अचलः पटः वा तन्तुः वा परिहरति किं घोरशमनं, that is तन्तुर्वा घोरशमनं परिहरति किम् तर्कवचसा वृथा कण्ठक्षोभं वहसि हे शम्भोः पदाम्भोजं भज तरसा परमसौख्यं व्रज तरसा परमसौख्यं व्रज इति it stops there. In the previous shloka, Sri Shankara sought blessing from Lord Shiva by addressing him as Hey Pashupate, because only Pashupati, Lord of all the beings, that is the Jivatmas, can be protected, because the Jivatmas are said to have the nature of a Pashu when they are ignorant. He says, yet my mind is directed towards Shastra all the time, maybe due to some conditioning. So only you, hey Shiva, should direct my intellect to offer worship to you. This is the crux of Sri Shankara's prayer in this shloka. Hey Sudhihi. Sudhihi means scholar or Pandita. It also has the meaning of a good virtuous intellect. So here Buddhi, the intellect is being spoken about, and so we take this Sambodhana, that is this address, to mean intellect. Sudhihi will therefore get the meaning, Hey Buddhi, hey you the intellect who are clear and good. The Sudhihi can be known in a little more descriptive way as Shobhana Buddhihi. That is called Sudhihi. Then, after the intellect is addressed and spoken to, Ghataha va, may it be the pots, Mritpindaha, may be lump of clay, Anuhu api, may it even be atoms, Dhumaha, may it be smoke, Agnihi, may it be fire, Achalaha, may it be a hill or a mountain, or Patahava, may it be a cloth, or Tantuhu va, may it be a thread. All these words used are technical words used in Tarka Shastra, that is science of logical analysis. An explanation for these will be given contextually. The meaning of all these words are Ghora Shamanam. Shamanam means Yama or Lord of Death. So the terrible Yama is Ghora Shamanam. Pariharati Kim? Do they have the capacity to prevent Yama? That is, can these words stop Yama from reaching us? No, they cannot, is the implied meaning. This being the reality, Tarka Vachasa, Tarka means Nyaya Shastra or logician's talk. With such logician's talk, Vritha, wastefully or unnecessarily, Kanthakshobham, causing pain to the vocal cords, Vahasi, is what you get. Shambhoho, Ishvara who gives only auspiciousness or happiness, Padambhojam, such Ishvara's lotus feet, Bhaja, pray to, so that Tarasa, quickly or immediately. Paramasaukyam, permanent happiness, that is Paramananda of moksha, the state of being liberated from pain and sorrow. Vraja, you will attain. Here, the technical words of Nyaya Shastra have been used to denote that just using such words will not serve any purpose. This Nyaya Shastra will sharpen one's thinking skills, yes, but it will not liberate the thinker from the clutches of time. Ghataha or pot is an example usually given by Shastra to explain different concepts. If you make an analysis, ghata, the pot, is made of clay. Then what is the clay made of? It is made up of atoms. Now, this kind of analysis we can do by pratyaksha pramana. This is called direct perception of knowledge. Pramana or knowing is classified into four types basically. Pratyaksha, Anumana, inference, Upamana by example, Anupalabdhi by absence of something. Now of these, Ghata, pot, is the example given for Pratyaksha Pramana, knowledge that takes place by direct perception. For Anumana Pramana, knowledge by inference, the examples given are Dhumaha, smoke, Agnihi, fire, Achalaha, mountain, etc. That is, if smoke is visible on a mountain, the presence of fire in the mountain is inferred. So, this is a typical example given for Anumana Pramana. Then take the word pataha, cloth. Then thread, tantuhu. These also have been mentioned. To denote cloth, that it is nothing but the thread which is put together. Then the connection between the cloth and the thread is discussed and analyzed. On the whole, these kind of thoughts and discussions are part of Tarka Shastra or Nyaya Shastra. The point is, discussing and analyzing objects like this, pot, cloth, clay, etc., will it neutralize one papa karma? That is the sins, is the question here. What is important is our mind should be cleared by neutralizing the sins, but this will not happen from an analysis of objects. Such discussions and analysis will only result in kanthakshobham, that is straining the throat or vocal cords. So none of these words will keep death away from us. Therefore, instead of wasting your life by engaging in such purposeless talk, offer worship to the lotus feet of the embodiment of auspiciousness, Shambhuhu. Engaging your mind in such worship will quickly give you Paramananda, that is, the bliss of moksha from samsara. This is the message Sri Shankara gives us. Same subject matter is mentioned by Vedavyasa as आलोढ्य सर्वशास्त्राणि विचार्य च पुनः पुनः इदमेकं तु निष्पन्नं ध्येयो नारायणः सदा. After analyzing and repeatedly deliberating on Shastras in a very exhaustive manner, finally it was concluded that one should eternally contemplate on Paramatma. Knowing this, O intellect, do not waste time analyzing technical words of Shastra, but engage in worshipping Shambhu, says Sri Shankara to the Buddhi. Meaning of this verse is concluded here. Shivananda Lahiri, Shloka number 7. Manaste padabje nivasatu vachastotra phanitau karau chabhyarchayam श्रुतिरपि कथा कर्णनविधौ तव ध्याने बुद्धिः नयनयुगलं मूर्तिविभवे परग्रन्थान् कैर्वा परमशिव जाने परमतः. अन्वय. हे परमशिव, Te padabje manaha nivasatu. This word nivasatu is to be connected with every set of action. Vachaha stotrapanitau nivasatu. Karaha cha abhyarchayam nivasatu. Shrutihi kathakarnana vidhau nivasatu. Katha akarnana vidhau nivasatu. Buddhihi dhyane nivasatu. Nayana yugalam murti vibhave nivasatu. Ataf param kaihi va paragranthan jane. After directing the intellect, buddhi, to be permanently engaged in Shiva Pada Puja, now Sri Shankara prays to the Lord that may all the sense organs, eyes, ears, mind, limbs, mouth, be engaged only in worshipping Paramashiva and not wasted in discussing other philosophies. He Paramashiva, O Parameshwara, te your padabje in the lotus feet, manaha the mind, nivasatu may reside. In other words, manaha may this mind reside in your lotus feet. Then vachaha speech, that is the tongue, jihva, which is the faculty of speech, stotra phanitau, in words praising you, nivasatu, may it always remain. That is, the tongue should always sing verses of praise to you. Then karaha, the hand, abhyarchayam, in the act of doing archana to you, nivasatu, may it remain. That is, all the time may my hands be engaged in offering puja to you. The verse says karau cha. So cha implies that along with puja, may these hands of mine write your innumerable names and also your glorious deeds, etc. Shrutihi, the ears, faculty of hearing, katha akarnana vidhau, in listening to narrations about your noble deeds only, nivasatu, may it be engaged. Buddhihi means the assertive part of the internal thinking process. It is said, nishchayatmakam buddhihi. Such a buddhihi, intellect, dhyane, in meditating on your nature, nivasatu, may it always remain. Nayana yugalam, the two eyes, murti vibhave, in seeing your beautiful form in the idol, nivasatu, may it always remain. In this way, when the five senses and the mind, which is the sixth sense, are engaged in Shiva Puja and Shiva Dhyana, ataf param, other than this, or anything different from this, kaihi va, with what or which faculty of the senses, paragranthana, literary works on other subject matter, jane, how will I be able to look into them? That is, when all the faculties are engaged in Shiva Puja, to know any other subject matter, which sense organ is left behind. So Sri Shankara's seeking, may all my faculties be used in offering worship to you, O Shiva, so that no sense organ is left to be distracted into any other work. Buddhi is said to have 8 attributes or gunas: Susrusha, Shravanam, Grahanam, Dharanam, Uhaha, Apohaha, Artha Vijnanam, and Tattva Jnanam. Susrusha means because of the merits, punya, earned in previous births, the desire to learn any knowledge pertaining to Lord Shiva Then Shravanam, listening to Shiva's glories. Then Grahanam, understanding and internalizing all that has been listened to. Dharanam, that which has been internalized, effort should be made to keep it in memory. Uhaha, discussing and having dialogue on that subject matter, that is, deliberating on it. In other words, it may also be said to be vimarsha. That is, maybe it could have been like this, may not be like that, iti, that kind of deliberation on the subject matter which has been learnt. Apohaha, the matter deliberated upon, whatever is unnecessary and purposeless, dropping that or giving up that. Then Artha Vijnanam, analyzing, classifying, grouping the meaning learned thus far. Tattvajnanam is knowledge of the absolute existence, that is Paramartha Jnanam, self knowledge. Now, when all these 8 gunas or attributes are about Paramatma, then there will be no desire or wish to learn about anything else. So, may my mind and all the faculties remain in your service and worship is the sincere seeking in this shloka. Not only this, bhaktihi, devotion, involves 9 types of practice. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. In this, in the increasing order, one practice is more meritorious than the other. Firstly, Shravanam means listening to the innumerable names of the Lord. Then Kirtanam, with our own mouth, uttering the words of praise which we have listened to thus far. Smaranam, continuously thinking and remembering Ishvara. Pada Sevanam, offering worship to his lotus feet. Archanam, doing puja, that is offering flower, leaf, fruits, etc. to Shiva. And then Vandanam, doing namaskara physically and mentally. Dasyam, conducting oneself as the Lord's servant, Sevaka. And then Sakhyam, building a friendship with the Lord. Atma Nivedanam, lastly, offering oneself to the Lord, completely surrendering. Now, these are the levels of bhakti, one excelling the other. On listening to Shiva Nama, the desire that I should myself utter his name arises. Then thoughts dwell in those names which have been uttered. Remembering and recalling these thoughts will lead to a desire to do puja and offer padaseva. That will further inspire the devotee to do Shiva puja all the time. Then we will do namaskara to Shiva. That will give us the attitude, I am Ishvara Sevakaha. Then as devotion matures, we will attain the feeling of I am his friend. Finally, devotion will evolve to the status of completely offering oneself to Lord Shiva. All the above said will be possible only if our intellect, the buddhi, is constantly engaged in Shiva Stuti and Shiva Dhyana. On living a life like this, looking into or studying other works or philosophies, how can it be possible? In other words, where will be the reason or necessity to go through other works? This is the spirit expressed in this verse. Meaning of this shloka is concluded. Shivananda Lahiri, shloka number 8. Yatha buddhi shuktau rajatamithi kachashmani jale paishte kshiram bhavati mrigatrishna susalilam tatha deva bhrantya भजति भवदन्यं जडजनो महादेवेशं त्वां मनसि च न मत्वा पशुपते. अन्वय. हे महादेव, हे पशुपते, जडजनः ईशं त्वां मनसि च न मत्वा भवद् अन्यं तथा देवभ्रान्त्या भजति. यथा शुक्तौ रजतम् इति बुद्धिः, काचाश्मनि मणिः इति बुद्धिः, पैष्टे जले क्षीरम् इति बुद्धिः, मृगतृष्णासु सलिलम् इति बुद्धिः भवति. May all the faculties be used for Shiva Aradhana was said in the previous shloka. Because the nature of the faculties are externally oriented, and so when connected with various other subject matter, they will race in different directions like the horses not held by reins. So Sri Shankara said that all the senses must be engaged in Shiva Dhyana. It is known that praying to Paramashiva will fulfill all our desires. Yet many people go to the Kshudra Devatas, that is, the heavenly beings with limited power, thinking they are Paramashiva and seek the fulfillment of desires. Now, why would they do that? As an answer to this question is this verse. He Mahadeva, O great Lord, who are self-revealing, that is, Aparichinna Swaprakasha Rupa is Mahadeva. It means one who is not limited by time, space and object is Aparichinnaha, and self-revealing is Swaprakasha. This is the form of Mahadeva, and he is addressed here. Then one more address. He Pashupate, O Lord of all the beings who are ignorant. Jada Janaha, people who do not know the truth about you, are, or in other words, the ignorant people. Isham, one who has lordship over all the beings and activities. Tvam, that you, Manasi, within the mind, na matva, without knowing. That is, Paramatma is to be known only by the Vedas. So Jadajanaha, the ignorant, do not have the correct understanding of God Paramatma. Therefore, Bhavad Anyam, those other than you, Tatha, as though they are the Paramatma, Lord like you, Deva Bhrantya, deluded that others are God, Bhajati, these Jadajanaha go and worship. When one does not know the true form, naturally they are deluded. What kind of delusion is described with words in the Shastra? Shuktau, in seashell, that is oysters, which are known as the mother of pearls. In the oyster shell, yatha, just like rajatam iti, seeing silver. Buddhihi, that kind of thinking occurs. Similarly, kachashmani, in pieces of clear glass, manihi, those are diamonds, iti buddhihi, this perception. Now here a note, buddhihi is a word which must be connected with every example given. Then jale paishte, in water mixed with flour, kshiram iti, this is only milk. Buddhihi, thinking so. Mrigatrishnasu, in mirage, salilam iti, it is water. Buddhihi, this perception, yatha, how these misapprehensions happen. Similarly, in Kshudra Devatas also, they are only Paramashiva iti, the ignorant are subjected to delusion and they offer worship to those beings. Mahadeva is the Sambodhana Padam, that is the word used to address Paramatma here in this verse. How did Shiva get this name Mahadeva? There is a narration to this. At the time of Tripura Samhara, Shiva addressed all the Devatas and said, I will give you half of my Tejas, that is power. With that, you all can kill the Asuras and live peacefully. Then all the Devatas said, Oh, Paramashiva, we do not have the capacity to behold your power. So, we, each one of us, will give half of our power, Shakti, to you, so that you can multiply that power and you only can kill all those Rakshasas. Since Shiva got part of every Devata's power and became the most powerful, he came to be known as Mahadeva. This is mentioned in a shloka. Satu Devo Balenasit Sarvebhyo Balavattaraha Mahadeva iti khyataha tatah prabhriti Shankaraha. Since that time, Lord Shiva became popular as Mahadeva. Let's look at the word Pashupati. All the jivas are bound by the rope, pasha of samsara. So, all the jivas are known as Pashu. To all these jivas, he, Lord Shiva, is Pati. So, he is known as Pashupati. Pashunam Pati, Pashupati. Such a great Mahadeva, Pashupati, is not known. So, some other beings are worshipped thinking they are Paramatma by many people. The cause for this is their Ajnana, thinking that Kshudra Devatas are Paramatma is Anyatha Jnanam. Compared to Ajnanam, Anyatha Jnanam is very dangerous because Ajnanam means not knowing at all, whereas Anyatha Jnanam is knowing one thing as totally some other object. Now that is more dangerous. This is referred to as Adhyasa. It's a technical word which means Atasmin tad buddhihi adhyasaha. In an object which is not, perceiving some other object in that place. Just like what is not silver, oyster shell, seeing silver in that. This is called adhyasa, that is seeing silver in oyster shell when oyster shell is not silver. Now this form of Anyatha Jnanam is a cause for anxiety and confusion. So, to be able to worship that great Paramashiva, one should have earned a lot of punya in abundance in previous lives. Pranantum stotum va katham akrita punya prabhavati can be related to Shiva Puja also, and it can be understood here. One can gain proper, correct understanding only with Sukrita, that is Punya. With this, meaning of this verse is concluded. Shivananda Lahiri, Shloka number 9. गभीरे कासारे विशति विजने घोर विपिने विशाले शैले च भ्रमति कुसुमार्थं जडमतिः समर्प्यैकं चेतः सरसिजमुमानाथ भवते सुखेनावस्थातुं जन इह न जानाति किमहो. अन्वय. गभीरे कासारे विजने घोर विपिने विशाले शैले च जडमतिः कुसुमार्थं भ्रमति विशति च। हे उमानाथ एकं चेतसरसिजं भवते समर्प्य जन इह सुखेन अवस्थातुं न जानाति अहो किम्। The great Parameshwara, who is also known as Mahadeva, his blessings somehow we must receive. What is the easy, effortless method to receive his blessings? This is mentioned in this 9th shloka by Sri Shankara Bhagavatpada. Gabhire, in a very deep Kasare lake, Vijane, where there are no people residing, Ghora Vipine, in a very frightening forest inhabited by wild animals, and also Vishale, very wide and high, Shailecha, mountain also, Jadamatihi, the dull-witted person, means a person who does not know to do a job easily. Kusumartham, for the sake of collecting flowers required to do puja to Paramatma. Brahmati, he roams about. And Vishaticha, and enters the forest. He Umanatha, O Lord of Parvati, Ekam, only one, which means that which is most important. So the meaning of one here is that which is most important. Chetas Sarasijam, the mind which is the lotus. In the forest, mountains, lakes, and such other places, after roaming around with great difficulty, the flowers which are brought, much better than those is the one lotus flower called mind. Now, this mind lotus flower, bhavate, for you, samarpya, having offered, here, iha, in this place itself, jana, people, sukhena, happily, avasthatum, to stay, na janati, they do not understand. Aho, Kim, what a wonder! Instead of collecting flowers from different places to offer to Paramatma and then gaining some limited benefit from it, if we offer our mind lotus, which is within us itself, as the flower, then boundless benefit can be attained in the same place where we are. But these people don't do that. What a wonder, says Sri Shankara. The significant meaning brought out in this shloka is Parameshwara will be most pleased with internal worship, Antar Archana, rather than external worship, Bahya Archana. No matter how many external objects are collected with great effort and offered to Parameshwara, if the mind is not offered, then the whole effort will go for a waste. Also, in an offering, if only the mind is given to Paramatma, then no other external object is even necessary. Because in this, the mind becomes Mahadeva. Essentially, one has to offer the mind and then include external objects in the offering only as an expression of internal reverence and affection. Summarizing, when one collects flowers from deep lakes, dense forests, and high mountains, and then reaches home to do puja, he would be so exhausted that he will forget to involve his mind in the puja. Flowers offered without the mind becomes totally purposeless. So Sri Shankara stresses in this shloka that it is very important to think of Paramatma and dedicate the mind while worshipping. Meaning of this verse is concluded. Shivananda Lahiri, shloka number 10. Naratvam devatvam nagavanamrugatvam mashakata pashutvam kitatvam bhavatu vihagatvaadi jananam सदा त्वत्पादाब्जस्मरणपरमानन्दलहरी विहारासक्तं चेत् हृदयमिह किं तेन वपुषा. अन्वय. नरत्वं देवत्वं नगवनमृगत्वं मशकता पशुत्वं कीटत्वं विहगत्वादिजननं भवतु. हृदयम् इह सदा त्वत्पादाब्ज स्मरण परमानन्दलहरी विहारासक्तं चेत् वपुषा तेन किम्. In the 9th verse, Sri Shankara taught us that it is sufficient to offer our mind as lotus flower when doing puja to Paramashiva. But the jivas, due to their past karma, under the influence of prarabdha karma, may gain a higher or lower form of life. That is, they may obtain bodies of animals, birds, worms, immovable life forms, etc. So, when they take forms other than human form, will it be possible to think of Paramatma and meditate on him? Is a doubt some may have. Bhagavad Pada answers this doubt in this 10th verse as a prayer that even if they are in forms other than human form, may the jiva's mind remember the lotus feet of Parameshwara. Naratvam, birth in the form of human body, Manushya Janma. Devatvam, the form of celestials. Nagavana Mrigatvam, Naga means mountain or hills, Vana forest, Mriga is any animal. So, birth in the form of animals and other creatures living in the forests and mountains. Mashakata in the form of mosquito. Pashutvam in the form of cattle. Kitatvam form of worm. Vihagatwadi in the form of birds, etc. Jananam, a birth in such forms. Bhavatu, may it be. But Hridayam, my mind, Iha, in any of the forms of births mentioned till now, whatever is gained, Sada, always, Tvat Padabja Smarana Paramanandalahari Vihara Asaktam Chet, that is, remembering your lotus feet is Paramananda. That is, Smaranam, memory and Anandam are one and the same. So, in the waves of Ananda from remembering your lotus feet, dwelling in such waves and reveling in that thought, being connected to you like this, and also by staying in that Ananda, then Vapusha Tena Kim, how does it matter which body form has been given? If memory about you remains, everything else will be secondary. When there is complete devotion in Parameshwara, all the other karmas, that is activities and rules related to them, will diminish. So it is important to be able to remember and think of Parameshwara. The body form attained as a result of karma is not important at all. There is a ukti, that is a saying, Punyena yati daivatvam papena narakim tanum ubhabhyam punya papabhyam manushim tanum richati. When a jiva does only punya karma, he will attain the form of devata. When he does only papa karma, then he will attain low forms of life like worms, which move on the ground. When he does a combination of punya and papa karma, he will get life form of human beings, manava janma. This being the reality, body depends on papa punya karma. But if the mind continues to meditate on Paramatma, then the body form becomes irrelevant. To understand this, we can recall the example of Gajendra from Purana. On Trikuta mountain, in a nearby forest, there lived an elephant named Gajendra. Because of its immense power and ability and strength, it was looked upon as the king of the forest. Influenced by its strength, all the other elephants in the forest used to follow Gajendra and also mutually protect and help when needed. The smell of the ichor of Gajendra reached even the distant regions of the forest. So, wild animals would stay away from the proximity of the herd of elephants. This made it very easy for the other small forms of life, animals and birds, to live happily without fear of predators. One day, the herd of elephants got the fragrance of lotus flower. So, they inferred that there must be a lake nearby. True to their sense of smell, they reached a lake full of lotuses in bloom. The elephants bathed and enjoyed the clear water of the lake, and they played there for some time. As they were all getting out of the lake, a crocodile caught hold of Gajendra's foot. Gajendra, with his presence of mind undisturbed, used all his strength to release his foot from the strong hold of the crocodile. The herd of elephants also tried to help, but it was all in vain. As more time passed by, the elephant's strength began to diminish. But the crocodile, being in its comfort zone, water, its strength was increasing. Finally, Gajendra understood that his own strength, combined with the help from the rest of the herd also, was not enough to push away the crocodile. He figured that seeking help from Paramatma is the only way to find release. So, Gajendra, with utmost devotion, sang beautiful verses praising Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, protector of devotees, came on his vehicle Garuda. On visualizing Garuda Vahana Vishnu, Gajendra plucked a lotus flower and offered it to Vishnu. This was because of the memory that he had in him. Very pleased with the offering, Lord Vishnu released his disc, chakra, onto the crocodile, liberating Gajendra from the stronghold. Now, that crocodile was a Gandharva named Hu in its previous life. Because of a curse from Muni Devala, he became a crocodile. He too gained moksha at the same time. Now, Gajendra in his previous life was Indradyumna by name and a king of Pandya region. He was an ardent devotee of Lord Vishnu. After ruling for some time, he handed over the responsibilities of the kingdom to another person and engaged himself in Vishnu Aradhana all the time. One day, when Indradyumna was engrossed in Vishnu Puja, Agastya Muni came to his palace. Indradyumna was totally unaware of the sage's presence. Agastya Muni, observing that this Indradyumna was not performing his duty as a king or as a grihastha, that is a householder, the sage cursed that Indradyumna should be born as an elephant. Although the king gained the form of an elephant, when in trouble he remembered to seek the help of Lord Vishnu only because of his past life impressions. So, although in an animal's body, he remembered Paramatma very easily and had the presence of mind to offer a lotus flower as puja to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. So, physical strength is not primary. Remembering to offer the mind to Ishvara is important. Example of Shabari can also be recalled to understand the importance of offering one's mind as puja to Paramatma. This verse is concluded here.